minutes. We'll last about 1 hour, and then we're going to spend the last 30 minutes maybe for some group of people who might be having a few challenges so that we can go through the challenges together and see how we can better support them. So like the host has rightly said, the 3-day program. So we're doing 2 days, 2 hours today. We're going to be doing 2 hours tomorrow, and hopefully less than 2 hours on Wednesday. So the poll is up, the pre-test. So we just like to know a little bit about our participants today. So we have just about 3 questions, and basically we have just less than 1 minute to complete this. So we'd just like to hear from you. Where do you work? Do you have prior experience using R? And where are you joining from today? So basically, the reason why we're having this poll is to better understand who our participants are and to find a way to tailor this session to the needs of our participants. Okay, so we just take the next 30 seconds. I see we have 54 participants that have completed the poll, and we're about 900 in the room. So we still have about 30 people left. So please, the next 30 seconds, let's just complete this poll. Thank you. Plenty more people to go. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now. I think we have a sizable number. 81% of our participants have participated in the poll today. So what we have is most of our participants work in the development sector, NGO, which is basically not really surprising. About 55, 2 in 3 have no prior experience of R. This class is basically just for you. And for those who have minor and basic experience, please, I'm certain that you're going to learn a few things also from this session. Non-surprisingly, about 75% of our participants are joining from Nigeria. Okay, so thank you. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll now. And we can go ahead and start with today's session. So I'm just going to put this in full screen mode. Okay, so this is about the same introduction slides that were shared prior to today's session. So we'll just spend the next few minutes going through it, just to run through so that we're all on the same page. So it's basically going to tell us, this is the outline we're going to be following, a little bit about me, even though the host has done most of the introduction. And then we're going to also look at, why do you want to use R? What can I offer you? What are the industries that are using R? What are the other benefits? How do you go ahead and install it? And then what are you going to learn from this particular section? So we're going to be spending about 5 to 10 minutes after this particular session for question and answer. So please, if you have questions, let us put them in the chat box. I'll try as much as possible to cover the questions that are in the chat box in the order in which they come within the for about 5 to 10 minutes after this session. So basically, again, the host has done most of this introduction, so I won't spend much time here, except that I currently work with Caritas Nigeria. This is where my personal website is, so you're going to have access to this particular slide and all the slides that I'll be presenting during this and the next 3 days. And I have another site that I contribute to, the R4HKS. Then you can, my LinkedIn and my Twitter handle are also here. So basically, I believe most of us already know that R can be used for analysis, can be used for visualization. That's why we're already here. Okay, so we're going to see all the other things R can offer you in addition to visualization, modeling, and other analytics. because R can do so much more. Basically, I tell most people when they say this, I say R can do it, that, R can do it, this. Going to see why I shot it. So these are a few hats, pictures. I love these pictures. And it's they were made by one of my colleagues, Ijamaka Ayine. She's based in the US, and she made this using R. These are all codes. These are no pictures, even though I had to screenshot them so that I can put them here. But these are basically numbers and digits, and they're presenting beautiful pictures, as you can see right now. She has a whole lot of them on our website, and I particularly like this one that looks like an eclipse, and I'm wondering, whoa, how do you do this using codes? And the truth is, even though I have not done these particular ones, I have done a few arts in R. So I am absolutely certain. In fact, the codes for these are actually available. She makes the code for these beautiful pictures available. So you can definitely look at our website and check out the codes that she used in creating these beautiful pictures. Again, all made in R, all right? And in recent times, we started using R for even advanced activities. Now R can be used, games can be produced in the R environment. If you visit this particular website, Hotshot Dashboard Engine, you're really going to see beautiful games, interesting games that were created in our environment. You can see this FIFA 2019 demo app. It looks so real. And I was like, how did you do this with R? Okay, and this particular game too that looks like RTA, and it just really looks beautiful. So I've added the links in these slides, so we're able to see and check out some of those things at our free time. And when you talk about text mining, I have actually been doing text mining with R for years now. So these are just a few of them. R can do complex text mining, thematic analysis, and things like that. This particular source has a lot of things like this word cloud, similar to this one that we have on the slide. So you can check them out when you have the slides and at your own time. Of course, in recent time, what we tend to see, especially in the development sector, a lot these days is dashboards, a whole lot of things. And I say that R does wonderful, beautiful dashboards. One of the very first popular COVID-19 dashboard by the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine was actually done with R. And at the time, I had a source code for that particular website, and it's really interesting to see that all over the world, international communities are using R to create wonderful dashboard, beautiful visualizations. I have created a significant number myself, most of which are actually for private reasons, but I've just decided to show us a few of these that R can create enterprise dashboards for large scale. This is on the right here is the one by the California Overdose Surveillance Dashboards. And on the left is an enterprise dashboard too. Again, the sources for these dashboards are here, so we might just really want to check them out. I have a few websites. And when I tell people that, yes, I have written websites in HTML front-end programming before, but most of my websites are purely developed in the R environment, okay? So on the left is my personal website, and on the right is the R for Healthcare Data Science website. Both of them completely developed in the R environment. And I can tell you that there are a whole lot of other personal things that you can use R. You can use R for blogging, you can use R for many other things. And the beauty about it is that it gives you access right there without having to learn multiple computer programs, computer languages. All you need to do is get familiar with your R, and you're able to do many of these things right at the comfort of your house with minimal hassle, right? So this is a GIS map on the left that I created recently, showing that R can be used for geospatial analysis, complex geospatial. This is just a basic geospatial data that I have presented. And in recent times, what we see R is rapidly venturing into a whole lot of other fields. Now people use R for analysis of music. And when you have the time, check out these two links. They are the links to two R packages that I use for musical analysis, and they really look beautiful. I was just amazed the first time I found this app. Really, we've now started using R for music analysis too. And the people who are into music and the rest of them in the house probably will be as whole lot of other industries that have been listed here. They all use R. We started talking about even R used for journalism and a whole lot of other things. So I have included two links here. The first one should probably talking a little bit more about some of these companies that are using R for their analysis. And the second was a particular page I created 3 years ago telling you why you should use R. R is really rapidly advancing, taking over the market and overtaking most of the popular data analysis tool that we currently already have. And I almost always tell people, R is practically the future. I've been using R for 8-9 years. And I can tell us that in the last 9 years, the popularity of R has rapidly been growing. And it doesn't really look like it's going to stop in the nearest future. Why exactly? Despite that R can do all these things, what exactly, what are the other things that R can offer you? Why are the other reasons why you might want to consider using R? Number one, basically because R is open source. Open source in the sense that you can see the source code, you can see everything. There's nothing hidden in R. You can download it, unbundle it, scatter it, look at how it is done, look at how it was created, and everything like that. So open source in every sense of it, there is really nothing hidden. So many people have looked at the source code of R and they can validate and tell you that, okay, R exactly does what it's set to do, all right? And it's one of those benefits, unlike most of the other packages of software out there that it's the marketer that tell you exactly what it does and you just have to accept it and take it for the words like that, right? R is also free. And R is free in every sense of it, from free to install, free to distribute, free to use, free in every sense, all right? So it makes it very easy. All I need to do is just go to a particular website, download my R software, and boom, I have R on my computer. If I have another computer, I can either share the one I previously downloaded to my new computer, or I just go there again and I download a new one. Boom, all together like that. And then most times people think that quality things are expensive. But I can really tell you that despite the fact that R is free, it is extremely of good quality. Most of the quality of R is due to the third point here, the community support. Because R is open source, everybody can see it. It allows everyone to be able to contribute. So you can imagine millions of R users all over the world who are contributing to the development of R, compared to an industry where only a few experts contribute to its development. So it's really not so surprising that the growth of R has been very rapid in the last 3 years, right? And it's really going to continue like that because on a daily basis, thousands of people are contributing several thousands of R codes to improve the R language itself, all right? And maybe one of the best benefits that I love most about R is that it is reproducible. So I tell people, you have your codes. You can not only share your analysis, you can also share your codes together with your analysis. And people can just follow the steps you have taken and see if your analysis does exactly what it's said to have done, all right? And when there are issues with your analysis too, people can easily see from your code, oh, you have a few assumptions that are wrong, and they can easily contribute to that. Unlike most of your point and click softwares, where if you are not careful, I don't know if this has happened to anybody, any of us in the past, you realize that you don't exactly get the same analysis. If you try to do an analysis more than once, you don't exactly get the same thing by your second or third attempt. You might get the same values, don't get me wrong, but you might realize that a few formatting are different. Maybe color, maybe this, maybe that, because you were just pointing and clicking, and doing all those formatting. And there was really nothing keeping the memory of all the things you are doing. At least for many of the softwares out there, that really doesn't have this. R is broad. I just said it earlier, you can use R for game, you can use it to build your internet, you can use it for your visualization, your dashboard, your text analysis, the text mining, and the rest of them. So there is, I mean, what R really cannot do is just based on the limitations human beings have put on it. R can do whatever it is we want it to do. If it's not already doing it, the only thing between R doing it is just somebody waking up one day and figuring out that, oh, R can't do this yet, but I would really love to use R to do it. And it's just going to write the codes to make R to do it. And boom, the next thing you know, R can do it. Just like I said, 3 years ago, we were not using R for music analysis. But some people just woke up and decided, you know what? I'm going to make R to be able to do these things. And they created those codes. And we are all benefiting from it today. So that's basically a quick summary of the benefits of R. So for the next 3 days, what are we really going to look at? We're not really going to become experts overnight, no. We won't suddenly come from not knowing how to use R, no prior knowledge of R, and suddenly be able to build games or do complex visualization or analysis, no. And basically, one of the things we say about R is that compared to your point and click softwares, R might take you a bit longer to learn because you have to be familiar with the language, you have to learn the jargons and the rest of them. You have to learn all those things, but the benefits by far outweighs the time it really takes you to learn it, because by the time you're done, you're able to do so many things with it, all right? But for this particular course, we're going to look at the basic introduction, take you from the basic foundation to how can you get your data into R, right? How do you modify or clean up your data to a form that is usable? Can you do simple visualizations? We're going to be making simple charts. And if we really have the time, we're also going to try and look at the last part, which is communicating your findings. Some of us might be surprised that my particular slide was created completely using R. So this is yet another thing R can do for you when it comes to visualization. This is not PowerPoint. This is slides created using R. So I want to believe that these things are cool, right? Okay, so for most of us, I want to believe that we have actually installed our software. So if you haven't, please just wait after today's session. We'll probably just spend the last few minutes to take us through how to do it again. We'll also be using RStudio. RStudio is just a kind of window through which we operate R. We call it the Integrated Development Environment. So it makes R more user-friendly. It doesn't take away the automation though, but it makes it a whole lot easier to interact with R. So that's why we really love RStudio. So RStudio is not a software, nope. R can work without RStudio, but your experience will be a whole lot better when you use R together with RStudio, all right? In a bit, we're going to be talking about packages more, but we'll need a few packages over the next few days. I have included these optional tools. You probably really don't need to install them in the meantime. You really can take this course without installing any of them. Basically, they're useful if you want to compile some packages before, more or less like their pre-released versions, before they are finally released. While they are still in development, you might just really want to compile them. Or some of those packages out there that are not on the R repository that we call CRAN, and you still want to use some of these packages. So you need a compiler to be able to do that for you. So RTool is what you use on Windows, and this Xcode command line tool is what you use for Mac operating system. Of course, definitely we're going to be needing good internet connection, so because we're going to be having hands-on, and I'm hoping that internet will really not be a challenge for any of us. Personally here, I have a backup in case my internet messes up. So I need to quickly just say this. If for any reason, ordinarily the internet where I currently am is stable, but you never can tell, anything can happen these days. So if my internet goes down a bit, try not to worry. Just give me a few seconds and RStudio free version. So this is, again, the link is just right here. You click it, it's going to take you to the particular one meant for your operating system, and you're going to go ahead and download RStudio. When you are done downloading, double click on it and install it on your computer. Okay. This package demo folder, we're going to talk a little bit more about, we're going to talk extensively about it tomorrow. So that's practically a zip folder containing all the resources that we need for this particular training. So when you click on this link, it's going to download the zip folder. Go ahead and unzip it and put the folder in any particular place of your choice. You might want to put it in your document, you might want to put it in your desktop, or any other thing. It's one of the good advantages of what this training has to offer, because we really don't add code at our file path, as we're going to see tomorrow. So it allows you to be able to move your folder around or easily share folder between users like we are currently doing. So when you are done unzipping, click into the folder. You're going to see this blue like hexagon that has intro_to_r_demo.rpoj. Just double click on it and it's going to open your RStudio pane for you. And then when you're done opening your RStudio pane, your page probably should look like this when you open it. So basically, I say this pane has 3 windows, the one on the left. On the right, you have 2. So there's a top right, then there's a bottom right. In the bottom right pane, or the bottom right window, you're going to see a folder called R, capital letter R. Just double click on the R. And when you have done double clicking on that R, it has just one file, package_installation.r. You want to click on that, and then it's going to open the 4th pane for you, which is going to open at the top left. Okay, so when that happens, there's a link. There is a button here that is called run. You just want to hit that run, and it's going to run all the lines of code, installing all the packages that you'll be needing, or at least to get you started for this particular course. I will be seeing a few additional packages we might have to install tomorrow, but in the meantime, this is just enough to get us started. So again, if you're having any issues and you have really not been able to install R or complete this installation process till now, don't worry much about it. That's why we're sparing the last 30 minutes thereabout, so that we can all work together on it, okay? And you really won't be missing too much in the session today. So please, again, let's not worry too much about that. So this is the end of my very first slide. So I don't know, just take a few minutes to look at the chat box now. If you are here to drop your message, please drop your message in the chat box. I'm going to take the next 5 minutes thereabouts to respond to the message and the questions I see in the chat box. Thank you. Well, we have someone joining from Afghanistan. Good to have you. We have people from all over Nigeria. We have someone joining from Tanzania, from Sudan. Thank you. Someone is saying, didn't know R could make slides. So cool. Yes, definitely. R can make cool slides, wonderful, interactive slides. All right. And we're going to be seeing a little bit more about those ones tomorrow. Hopefully. Okay, from Lesotho, from Mauritania. Good to have you. Okay. Peter, Anthony Peter says, stopped at opening the folder. Okay, we're going to take, take the time to look at the installation process again together. Just spend the wait after the main session. We're still having issues and we're going to look at it all together. Okay. 3.4.3 installed on your system. Okay, that particular version of R is relatively old for Adebayo Sotayo. That was released over a year ago. What we currently have is the 4.1.1. So I generally advise that you go back and reinstall the most recent R package. I think it's also good that you mention it here that because our community, again, like I said before, rapid development occurs in R because the whole community is contributing to its development. So new versions tend to be released relatively frequently. And the general consensus is that it is better to install the more recent version of R. So many reasons. One of the main reasons is because of functionality. The newer the version, the more better optimized it is for your use, right? Please, how many hours will the session be for each day? All right, thank you, Suleiman Idris, for that question. For today, it's going to be for 2 hours. For tomorrow, it's also going to be for 2 hours. For Wednesday, we're hoping for something about an hour, all right? But at least not more than 2 hours. Hopefully, we'll be able to keep it to an hour on Wednesday, right? Dennis, joined late. I don't think you really missed much yet. We practically just went through the introductory slides, and most of us already have access to that. Is that a language enough for me, or do I need to learn Python and Excel? I think it's basically really going to be your choice. Most of the communities that you'll be interacting with, especially when it comes to R and Excel, are relatively different. But I want to say that any of them can do many of the things you really love to do, but definitely if I have to choose between any of these things, I'll choose R over and over again. And I think there are so many people in the community that will agree with me, even though we know that Python is also a very excellent language, but R was basically created for data analysis. So the strength of R is most when it comes to data analysis. So for that singular reason, I want to go for R over and over again. Do we have paid subscriptions and free ones? Can you elaborate? Okay, so we'll probably talk about that more on the last day. Basically, I think this is just a free session that we're offering. Currently, like I said, if you are still here with us on the third day, let's talk more about where do you go from here? What other resources are available for you? And if you want paid versions and things like that. So we're going to talk about that. Yusuf, Isaac, how can I start at the console? We're really going to be looking at that together. All right. So we have someone from Italy. Version 4.1.0. I think you're good to go, even though there is a version 4.1.1 that was written. And these other things. So this is basically what we'll be looking at today. And tomorrow, for practically all of you, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at real life data or simulated data, close to real life. What you get doing research or in our day-to-day place of work, the type of data that we see. We're going to be using it to put all of this together. Around someone visualize it, and if we have the time, we're really just going to see how we could comment the slide, but someone will talk about it. We are not assuming any prior knowledge of statistics. So if you don't know any statistics beyond the ones that you were taught in school, that you might even have forgotten, no problem. This is still the right path for you. Okay. I'm going to use as minimal jargons as possible. A few of them are definitely, we can't, but as much as possible, I'm going to stay away from jargons because this class is for new users and we want to make you understand R and not have to worry about the technical details. All right. Okay. So we've already gotten to know each other. I know that the majority of you are joining from Nigeria. I know that almost everybody works in the development sector, something like that. So how do you set up your workspace? All right. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to stop sharing this my screen now. And I'm going to go ahead and share the folder that I downloaded from online. Okay, it looks like this after I have unzipped it. Intro underscore to underscore R underscore demo master. So I'm going to click into it and then click into this again. And we're going to see this particular out here. The file type is called R project. Okay, I'm going to show you how to create R project in a bit. And I always encourage you when you want to do anything in R, please use R project. Okay, it has so many advantages. So I'm going to click on I double click on it. It's opening up my RStudio, all right? Okay, so it's opened now. So I'm going to share that. So when it opens, this is what I have, all right? So the particular setting I want us to look at right now is this. So when you have I have a lot of icons here that I need to move out of the way, okay? So you go to tools and then you click on your global options. It's going to bring you to this place, okay? So generally, I advise us to uncheck a few things. Number one, uncheck this workspace, this restore.r data, and then it says save workspace to underscore r data on exit, change it to never, all right? And then this will always save histories, every other thing is fine. But this particular tool, please, as much as possible, uncheck them and then click on OK. So the basic reason why you're trying to uncheck them is because those things keep your whatever analysis you have done, they keep it in memory. And as you will see over the course of when we use R, some of the things that you keep in memory have really not been saved. But you should learn to save all of your works and not keep them in memory. So if you continue to keep things in memory for so long, before you know it, you will even forget the things that you have saved and the things you have not really saved. And along the line, when you finally wipe off your memory or clean your memory, it breaks all of your code. You just realize that your code is not working because a whole lot of things that you have been using for a long time were only in the memory, but they were not saved. All right? So on checking those things to make sure that R, at the moment you close your R environment, R wipes your memory clean and forces you to save things as early as possible. All right? And even when you have forgotten to save something, the time lag between when you realize that is not really going to be so distant compared to if you continue to have so many things in your memory. All right? So that's the first thing I always encourage people to do when they're setting up their R environment. So again, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. Go back to. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, please, can you go back about 2 minutes or 3 minutes back? People are asking you to take something again. So you can check the chat box. They're asking.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
All right.
Okay, so I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to use this particular place. I want to believe that we have been able to open our RStudio, all right? So when you open your RStudio, yeah, it can be any of your RStudio. It doesn't have to be a particular one. Click on the Tools tab up here. When you have clicked the Tools, the last option down in the drop down is the Global Options. So we'll click on the Global Options, just like we can see on the screen. Tools, then we'll go to Global Options, and then we deactivate restore.r data, that's under workspace. Unclick it. Make sure that save workspace to R data on exit is set to never. Just those two things, basically. When you are done, click OK and exit. Now, I've explained the reason why we try to do this. It's basically so that you are forced to save your workspace. And now it doesn't continue to keep things in memory that you are not even aware of yourself. All right? Because the more you have too many things in the memory that you are not aware of, the more likely your code is going to break sooner or later. Okay? All right. So that's setting up your workspace. The second thing is that, like I said previously, when you want to work in R, I always encourage use R project. So think about it this way. Every single thing you do, or every single common task that you do, imagine it as a project. Okay, so let's assume that I'm doing an analysis for our host today. I'm going to keep that in a different project. If I'm doing another analysis for somebody else, I'm going to open a separate project for that. So I don't mix my works up, all right? If I'm building a website for myself, that's going to be a website project. If I want to analyze my thesis, that's going to be thesis analysis project. If I want to do something at my workplace, that's really going to be yet another project, all right? So how do you create project in R? It's very simple. You go to this File tab here, and then the second option that comes is the New Project. So when you click on that New Project, it's going to bring this picture on the right. It's going to ask you, yes, I understand that you want to create a project. Do you want to use a new folder, that's a new directory, or you already have a folder that you want to just point me in the direction, and then that is the existing directory, okay? So if you want to create a new folder for it entirely, click on the first option, the new directory. If you already have maybe a folder that already has some files, and you just want to say, okay, this is the project folder, then you use an existing directory. For the purpose of this class, we won't be talking about the third option here, version control. We won't be talking about that. But for most of what we will do, the first or the second option is good enough. Most often, I find myself using the first option, because the moment I know I'm going to do an analysis, then I know I'm creating a project. I know I'm going to need a folder for that. So I just go ahead and use a new directory. And that is how I have created a folder that I shared with all of us. I just called it intro_to_R as my new directory. Okay? Right. So again, most of what we're doing today is a little bit of abstract. We're going to do more of the hands-on tomorrow, but I just wanted to quickly run us through a few things that are very important. Right. So when you open your RStudio environment, basically it opens up 3 panes, right? It opens up 3 panes initially when you open it. Sometimes you get up to 4, 2 on the right, 2 on the left. And this is very important. I tried to just highlight about 3 of them. The one on the top left is called the editor pane. This is very important because tomorrow we'll be using the editor pane a lot. So when I say go to the editor, we're talking about the window on the top left. Go to your console, then we're talking about the window on the bottom left. All right. When we have plots, outputs, and the rest of them like that, we're going to have them on the bottom right. Now, that's my editor. The bottom left here is my console. See that the run button has sent what I have in my console, my editor here to the console. This 1+1 here, and it has executed it, giving me my result. And it's saying it is true. All right. But the good news is that I can wipe off my console here by clicking on this broom, but my code remains in my editor. So it becomes easy for me to save my editor as a script. So this is why, but obviously I could have written my 1+1 here directly in my console and execute it. But it's difficult to keep memories when you write directly in the console because you can easily wipe it off and then you lose everything that you have worked on. So that's why we're going to be using the editor to write most of our codes. And we're going to be using the run button to send our codes to the console. All right? Okay. All right. So a little bit away from the RStudio environment. So what is data science itself? We tend to hear that a lot. Data science, data science. And I love this definition that somebody said here, right? One of my very famous, one of the very famous people in R, he said data science is a combination of computer programming, scientific reasoning, and data comprehension. I agree, but I think that you don't need to be an expert in all the three. Data science is really a combination in the right amount because there are several fields in data science. Some people might just be, their strength might be in descriptive statistics that are extremely brilliant when it comes to visualization. Some people, the strength is in cleaning data, any data, no matter how messy it is, and we're going to look at messy data in a bit, just give it to them. They're going to give you clean data as much as possible. That's their strength. And some other people's strength is more of exploratory data analysis. But a combination of these three is actually what gives you, what makes you data science. And we'll look at almost all of them. Of course, using R is already programming. We're going to talk a little bit about statistics. So it's more or less like that's scientific reasoning. And of course, we'll have to know a lot of comprehension to be able to figure out what kind of visualization, what kind of analysis do we want to do. Okay? And this is basically how data science workflow goes. Most times you already have a data pre-collected somewhere in a spreadsheet, either SPSS spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, or any other spreadsheet. It might even be on the internet, but somehow before you start using it, you have to get it into your R. Okay, so you have to import it. As we will see in a bit, data are not always tidy. Sometimes you have very untidy data, so you have to clean it up a bit. For example, you have to do some formatting, and a very common one I'll tell us is that sometimes you see people collecting gender, male, female. Sometimes it is capital letter M, sometimes it's small letter m. Sometimes somebody capitalizes everything, and sometimes it's all lower cases, and you're just like, why all these things? Why do I have this data like this? So if you have something like that, you will definitely have to clean up the data before you can start using it. So you might have to tidy, transform your data, and then sometimes you visualize, and then you run your analysis, your model, your inferential statistics, and things like that. and then you might want to communicate your data. Again, we're going to look at most of this. At the minimum, we're going to look at importing our data, doing the data tidying and transformation. We're going to visualize. And if we really have the time, we're also going to look at communication. Of course, that's basically how you pass the information from the data you have collected. So most of the data we'll be working with are what we call tabular data. Tabular data, they are tabular in the sense that there are rows, these horizontal lines, and then there are columns, right? As much as possible, we recommend that our tabular data should be tidy. There are three things that make a data tidy. I have to tell you, as simple as it looks, most data that you're going to see out there, they are not tidy. And we're going to see a bit of them also in this class. So for a tidy data, we say every column like this should contain only one variable. Don't put two variables in a single column. Very simple instruction. But we realize that that's not always the case, right? The second one is that don't split the data meant for one observation, one person, for example. Don't split them into multiple rows. Let all the data coming from one observation, one person, one participant, let them all be in a single row. All right? And then the third one is that, which automatically, when you follow the first two, the third one almost comes automatically. Each cell, you should put only one value there. All right? So these are the concept of tidy data. And there are so many advantages to having your data tidy. We're going to look at them again a bit. Now, the Wickham says this. It says tidy data are alike, but every messy data is messy in some way. I corroborate that. Now, when you see messy data, the headache is just different every time. All right. So, what makes this data untidy? The one on the left. And what makes this data tidy? The one on the right. So if we can just do that in a minute, I want our participants to just look at it. Can they tell me why I'm saying that the table I have on the left is untidy, but the one on the right is tidy? You might want to use the chat box for that, please. Okay. Perfect. All right, so we already have two people that have noticed that the table on the left for the third column called rate is actually lumping two variables together in a single column, right? It's lumping both the cases and the population in a single column. But we have agreed that as much as possible, put only one type of variable in a column. This is here on the left, we have two variables in a single column. Now I'll give you us very common examples that we see in day-to-day life. Blood pressure. For most of us in the development sector, you see a column called blood pressure, and you see things like 120/80, 130/70. And you ask yourself, but these are two different parameters. Why am I having them in a single column? Right, that alone makes our data untidy. Right, now I'll give us one of the challenges that